YouTube has tons of how to start content or freelancing videos, but nobody tells you how to run the dhanda or the business of content creation. 2 years ago, I got my first legit brand collab when I had no clue about how much money to charge per reel, how to send contracts and invoices to a brand, how to manage a new team of editors, and a lot more. Without these basics, you will end up with delayed payments from your brands, loss in monthly income, and irritating back and forth with your editors. So in this auspicious season of Diwali, let me teach you the art of managing the business side of your content career and freelancing. I'll deep dive into Odoo for solving all of these problems one by one because it is currently the most powerful and cost-effective suite of tools for running your online business. This is episode 2 from our personal branding and content creation course, where I will share a list of 6 mistakes I made as a new creator and teach you everything about making money from your online personal brand. Make sure you take notes because the top 10 students from this online session will earn a physical certificate of achievement. So without further ado, let's get started. So in our last episode 1 of this course, I taught you how to write a script for a good Instagram reel. Now, while you learn how to make content, it's best to lay the foundations of your business because you need to understand that when you sell your reels or services, you are essentially running a one-person business. Now, there are 3 important things that will help you grow fast in this content business. I realized these very late, so please do not take my advice leniently. Number 1 is understanding of legal brand contracts and invoices. Then we have a strong team and then well-built content systems. So this entire episode is split into 2 modules. In the first module, I will teach you how to improve your brand perception and business sense by learning basic things like how to create a legit invoice and contracts that protect you from getting exploited. In the second module, I will teach you how to select and hire the right kind of people for your content and how to build detailed systems to make sure everyone is on track. So let's start with module number 1. I still remember the first time I got a brand's DM on my Instagram. I was at 30 or 40,000 followers and this brand wanted to know my price for a promotional Instagram reel. Now, I had no content creator friends. I had my full-time job, so I was doing this as a side hustle. And I remember the brand manager, the person who reached out, I remember this guy asking me for my email ID. And I was typing anjbruno1@gmail.com in the message. And at that moment, I realized, what am I even sending to this professional brand? Because I didn't have a manager, I had no GST, no invoicing software, I had no clue about all the clauses I had to add when I was agreeing for that brand collab. Luckily, this first brand was a very big one, so they didn't take advantage of me because they're big brands, they can't really do that. But afterwards, I ended up working with brands who did not take me seriously and they just pushed me around for a month or 2 because they could just judge that I am an early player in the game. To protect yourself, you need to have a strong set of fundamentals so that all of these companies and agencies take you seriously from day one. The 3 major mistakes I did were not setting a good first impression, not learning how to write and send professional invoices, and not knowing popular contract clauses that can lead to a lot of confusion in the longer run. So if you want to avoid these mistakes, you basically need to first of all switch from a personal email ID to a business email ID and then learn how to create strong bulletproof invoices so that people don't take advantage of you. Because in the end, if you're not getting paid because of your invoicing mistakes, then what is the purpose of working so hard? And then know how to find all the negative clauses in all of these contracts so that you don't get exploited. Let me explain these points one by one. Now, when it comes to using a business email ID, you need to understand that instead of using your own personal email ID that you've been using since childhood, you need to make a new email ID that is dedicated to your brand collabs. When you grow further in life, you will have to share this email ID to your team members or your manager. So using your personal email ID would never make sense. In fact, it is recommended that all of your YouTube and Instagram channels should be linked to this new business email ID that even looks more professional. It is even better if you purchase a .com or a .in domain for your brand. For example, I bought anshmara.com in 2020 from Google Domains at just 900 rupees per month. Now my email ID is admin@anshmara.com. anshmera.com, which is way more professional than anshbruno1@gmail.com. If this is clear, let's understand how to create a bulletproof invoice. So when I started out, I used to send an email to brands with my bank account details. But a much better way is to use a tool like Odoo's Invoicing app. Sending a lazy invoice will simply let everyone else know that you are a new player, and they can delay your payments simply because your invoicing skills are weak. So you would call up the CA at your agency and say that it has been 45 days and you haven't paid me. And after 45 days, that CA will tell you that, oh, you forgot to add this in your invoice. Your invoice didn't have a number. You forgot to add your PAN, and that is why we didn't process your payment. They will never tell you that you have made a mistake in your invoicing. It is only after you chase them that they will tell you that it is because of you that we are not paying you on time. So instead of listening to all of this theory, let me show you how to practically make a solid invoice using Odoo. So here I am in Odoo, where you can run your entire business online, including your content creation business. I already have my free account, so I will just go here and click on my databases. Basically, as a business owner, I can have multiple companies, right? And I can have multiple tools to run. I have created one single database right here called Anshmera Creations. And let me just click on connect. And this is where I can basically access all of my apps. So I have my calendar, appointments, but the tools that I will demo in this entire video is my invoicing tool, the project management tool, the e-sign tool, the recruitment app, and the employees app. But first, let's cover how do you make a good invoice. This right here is my dashboard where I can see all of my invoices created for every month. I have connected my bank account so I can see all the transactions that have happened. And let's just quickly jump into how do you even create a new invoice. So let me just click on new, and this is where I can see a customer invoice draft. So once you start creating a new invoice, you basically have a bunch of small things that you need to take care of. Let me first explain you the interface, and then I'll explain you how exactly do you need to write a good invoice. Firstly, you have to choose a customer. Now, already in my Odoo, I have established a bunch of customers that I regularly work with. You can always type your customer again from scratch if you're adding someone new. Let's assume that I am sending an Instagram reel invoice or a design service reel to Cognivision Lab. So I'll select that. Odoo already has information about my client. So basically, when you make an invoice, it is mandatory to add their address and to add their PAN number. And then the place of supply, which means where are they located? Because if you're registered in GST, this information is very important as to in which city is your office and in which cities is their office. Then you have to put the invoice date. This is usually added the day at which you have given all of the deliverables. Sometimes when you raise an advance invoice, it's also called pro forma invoice. Sometimes you just send it by default and then you give them a due date. So let's just say I create an invoice on 14th October, and then within my due date, I can maybe put a 30-day, or let's just put it at say 20th November. Or you can also add your payment terms. So all of these things are added by default in Odoo. If you were to use any other tool, you have to manually type this. What I can also do is I can add like a 15-day period, right? So that means that the moment I have sent this invoice, it will automatically say that you have to pay within 15 days. Now here are my invoice lines where you have to list down everything you need to create. So let me just put my face here, and I can add a specific item. So I can search a product that I have already used before, something like say design services. This is my quantity and this is my unit pricing. So let's just say I add 60,000 as my number. In my settings panel, I have chosen the currency as rupees. You can always change this. And here are my taxes. So if I select this option right here and click on this cross icon, I can basically select how much tax I need to charge. Now, in most cases, if you are in GST, you just have to select 18% GST. If you are sending it to a different city, then it's usually a split into 9 and 9. We won't get into the taxation aspect. It is always better to consult this with your CA. But let's just assume I want to put 18% GST. Now you can obviously see that it has split up the SGST and CGST. This happens when my company is in Delhi and this client is in Maharashtra, but you don't have to worry about this. What you need to see is that this is your untaxed amount, this is your final amount. And you can also add a note if needed. So I can say Instagram stuff. So when they see the invoice, they'll be able to have like a small note. And in your terms and conditions, one habit that I always follow is that I always put my details, my bank account details very, very explicitly. So if I were to open this dummy document right here, this is just some mock data. I would always put it in my comments where it's my account holder's name, the number, the bank name, the branch name, IFC, PAN. If you miss these things, I'm telling you, it just becomes an issue altogether. So once you've added all of your information, you just have to click on confirm. As soon as you do that, you will have your invoice sorted. Now, can you see this code right here? It says that ensure that HSN or SSE code consists 4 digits. This basically happens when you are running a specific service or a specific product selling company. This is important for people who are selling very specific product codes under the GST taxation. I won't get into it, but the logic here is that this HSN stands for a standard nomenclature. So they've basically given specific names to specific categories of services, because it's not like you can just randomly create a service on your own and randomly say that it comes under education or this comes under healthcare, right? So they have specifically said that if these are the 5-6 things that you're trying to do, you have to put this under a specific HSN code, under a specific nomenclature. So once you have created all of this invoice, you can just click on print and send, and then we will have 3 options. I have download, by email, or by post. I can select download and email both. As soon as I do that, I will show you how does Odoo get all of this information, but it already knows the email of my client. So I can change the subject, I can change the body, I can also put some attachments and simply click on print and send. So in most cases, in other invoicing tools, you have a PDF maker, then you have to download that PDF, then you have to go through your inbox and then attach and do all of those things. It's a complete waste of time. In fact, even the invoicing numbers are sorted. This is how the PDF looks like. It's just very, very clear and very, very sorted. My logo is always added. My email ID is always visible. And what I'll show you right now is that if I go to customers, if I click on this option right here, these are all of my common customers. These are all mock customers. But the point is, if there's a company or an agency that you regularly work with, and that is usually how it works in the creator economy, you have 5 agencies that have all of these brands, and you don't send the invoice to the brand. You always send your invoice to that agency, and that agency then again is connected to 50 other brands. So in most cases, your customer's dashboard is just going to have all of your agencies. And if I were to show you any of these customers, you can see that we've added the address, the GST number, their PAN, email ID, website, phone number. So all of these things become very, very sorted in general. On the right side, you have your log notes. If there's something that you want to add, something specific, a note for yourself or to anybody else, it's just very, very easy. If I go to customer payments, you can see all of these things are sorted right here. So overall, your life becomes very, very simple, right? Now, there are some things that I want to clear out when you're making an invoice, right? So let me just open any of my older invoices. Let's just go here. And let me open the Cognition one. There are 5 important things that most creators miss. Number 1, they do not mention any advance payment terms or the due date for their entire payment. They literally forget to mention their own PAN or GST of their company. If you have registered your company, just make sure you're under the MSME as well. And you'll always be able to get 18% extra if you are under the GST plan, which acts like floating capital, right? So if I sell a reel for 1 lakh rupees, I will always send an invoice for 1 lakh plus 18% GST. Now every month I will pay this 18% tax to the government, but now let me explain the benefit. Assume there's a laptop I want to buy from Chroma for 1,18,000 rupees. Now in this 1.18 lakhs, 1 lakh is the cost of the laptop and 18% is the GST that everybody has to pay. It doesn't matter if I buy this laptop or my parents buy it. Everybody will have to pay this 18% extra. Anytime you go out and buy a gadget, you look at your bill, you will be able to see that GST thing added to your final price. Now, if I have my company's GST number, and if this laptop is going to be used for my own business, I can tell the government that, hey, I received 18% GST from this brand. I just paid 18,000 rupees to Chroma for this new laptop that my company is going to use. Hence, I no longer need to pay you 18,000 rupees again when I file my GST. So I took 18k GST from a brand and simply adjusted it when I bought my laptop from Chroma. Without GST registration, I will not get the benefit of this 18% tax. Now, obviously, there is a lot into how GST works. I have a CA who takes care of all of these calculations because it majorly depends on who you are selling to, where is that person's office, and where are you doing your purchase of all of these gadgets. So all of these things matter. But as a creator, you still need to know the basics. Many people don't talk about this openly, and I have struggled with this because I was not guided on time. I will share some links in description to help you understand GST in detail. But the bottom line is you need to have an invoice that mentions all of these details upfront. Without this, you'll send the invoice and after 20 days, the brand will tell you that this invoice is not valid because you didn't write your GST. And then once you resend the fixed invoice, your payments will get even more delayed. Then a lot of beginners don't number their invoices. So can you see this numbering right here? This is a format that you can discuss with your CAs, but this is very, very important when you're filing your taxes next year. Now, Odoo's invoicing tool numbers everything in a very well organized manner. So in the end, please make sure that you have these small impressions also sorted. So this is my company's logo. This is my real details. So my editor would probably have to blur these things. But yeah, this is the invoicing tool. Now let's go back to the next part of this video. Now, even within the invoice, you need to know how much money you need to charge because that is technically the most important component. I can make a dedicated video on just pricing alone because the math changes from creator to creator. In my case, I had hired a creator agency called Social Tag, and I'm a terrible negotiator. So all of my deals are done through Social Tag. They've given me a personal manager. In fact, his name is Tanishq, and he's the one who decides my pricing. He's the one who would talk to the brand, who would talk to other people because he handles other creators as well. So he knows what rates are floating around. For example, in this season, in October, November and December season, the rates automatically go up because it's Diwali season, it's Christmas season. But I as a creator would have no clue about this. So in exchange, I give Social Tag a certain percentage of every deal that I get. And I personally suggest all creators, especially small creators, beginner creators, to get a good agency. Because as a beginner, you won't have any contacts or any knowledge to negotiate fairly. It is much better to increase the size of your pie and share a slice rather than eating a small pie all on your own. If this is clear, let's understand how to read and write brand contracts. So let's cover some beginner level mistakes first. Now, please note that when you're starting out, most brands will not listen to your specific requests. To negotiate in life, you need leverage, and you'll only have leverage after you hit a certain number of followers. In most cases, it is around 100k followers with good engagement and good enough trust from your audience. When I say good engagement, you need at least 30 to 40k views on your reels, but this number also changes from domain to domain. For example, in the comedy genre, 40k views on a reel is really low, but if you're in a specific niche, could be back-end programming or front-end programming or UX, then even 40k is a very good number because that audience is very niche and very valuable. However, once you have good number of followers, you need to avoid a bunch of negative clauses in your brand agreements. And not all brands do this. I'm just teaching you all of these basic things just in case you end up working with someone who's slightly sharper than you. Now, brands use two words very often. Anytime you get a proposal call from a brand manager or an agency, they will always use the words commercials and deliverables. If you hear someone say, "Can you send your commercials?" they're basically asking for your pricing including 18% GST. So if you say that my price is 10,000 rupees per reel, if you do not specify that it is 10,000 rupees plus 18% GST, they will simply add the 18% in the 10,000 rupees. I have made this mistake. That is why I'm giving you this example. When they say deliverables, they are basically talking about everything you will post on your profile. So if they say we need 5 deliverables, we need 3 deliverables, and you have to list down, okay, out of these 3 deliverables, one is an Instagram reel that will go on this date. One is a story that will go on this date. To make this easy to understand, I will show you a dummy contract on Odoo's e-sign platform. Basically, once you've done your conversation with the brand manager, they will send you a PDF to sign. And anytime you agree for a brand collab, you have to read through this contract and figure out if you want to add something specific. Now, instead of printing, signing the contract and scanning, you can just use Odoo's e-sign platform. It'll save you a lot of time. Let me show you how it works. Alright, so I am in my dashboard back again, and let me show you how you can use Odoo's e-signing platform. Basically, almost all brands will send you a PDF to sign anytime you agree for a brand collab. So instead of just printing and scanning and signing and doing all of those things, you can use the Odoo's e-signing platform. So right now I'm inside my e-sign, and as you can see, there are some sample contracts. This is my dashboard right here. On the top left corner, you have an option to upload a PDF. So basically, once you have received your contract from the brand, all you need to do is simply upload it right here. So this is how the proposal looks like. Now, before I move ahead, let me just share some very important details about what you need to see when you are signing these contracts, right? So this is again a dummy contract. Let me just zoom it a bit more. Firstly, before I even get into the contract, never confirm or close deals on your phone, right? Or even on WhatsApp. So don't do these things on your phone calls. Whatever you finalize on your call must be written down again in text over email. Get their contract and download them, and then make sure that you upload it right here and then e-sign it after you have gotten everything on email. Now let's just go through this. So it says collaboration agreement, scope of work. Okay, these are my deliverables. Usage and rights. Now this is where most creators fail. Okay, especially when they start. The sentence says, by entering into this contract, you agree to grant XYZ company perpetuity rights. Okay, now most people say perpetual rights or perpetuity rights, but never agree to sell perpetuity rights to your content at a cheap price. The word perpetuity means forever, which means if you sell your content's perpetuity rights today at just 20,000 rupees, then this brand can use this video forever without paying you anything extra. Whenever you sign the contract, always check the duration for which the brand can use your video as well. So it says they can reserve the right to use the content for XYZ things, payment, timeline, content ownership. It owns the advertising rights, which is a big thing. And there is no mention of till how much time will they use my content, right? They haven't added it because they think it's for perpetuity. But if it is not perpetual, you still have to explicitly write that you can only use this video for XYZ months. Otherwise, they will use it for perpetuity. Then never agree to sell your ad rights for free. So can you see in the content ownership panel, they say this company will own the advertising rights to the content, allowing the company to promote and distribute. Never agree to this until unless you charge extra for this. Because they are paying you 20,000 rupees, they are using your scripting, your production, and then they will spend 5 lakh rupees more on that 20,000 rupees ad and then get money out of it. Because whatever 5 lakhs they spend, they can get the return on ad spend on that 5 lakh rupees. So they will invest so much of money and they are paying you just 20,000 rupees. So make sure that you do not sell them the advertising rights cheap. If your brand is telling you upfront that they will run ads, then you can always, negotiate for a better price. Always check for advance payments and the full payment terms. Okay. Now, in most cases, brands use a very specific line in their contract that says you will be paid within 45 to 60 days of the content going live. Here, total payment, rupee symbol is very important. If you are doing an international transaction, then the dollar or pound symbol has to be very important. And Indian rupees is also very important. So sometimes this symbol is just messed up. So you have to explicitly call out that it's Indian rupees and not, Indonesian rupees. Right? Payment will be made within 45 to 60 days of the content goes live. Now, this clause might sound simple, but let me just explain this. This is not 45 to 60 days after you saying yes to the brand. You might say yes to a brand on 1st of April, then script by 7th of April, record and edit by 10th of April. And then the brand would approve it by 15th of April. And then once you release the reel on say 20th April, you'll have to wait for another 45-60 days after 20th April to get the payments. So technically, you'll have to wait 60 plus 20 days. That is almost 80 days before you get paid. And if there's an agency in the middle, then first your agency will get paid after 80 days. And then you will have to send the invoice to the agency again and then wait for another 10 to 15 days to get paid from them. In this case, this is a direct collaboration, so there's no agency here, but all of these contracts are then signed between the agency and the brand. So then your agency owner needs to be very careful. Now, you can obviously realize how important it is to read the payment terms, right? Because this thing right here, by the way, says 45 to 60 days. Now, days and working days are also different. You have 7 days in a week. But working days are only Monday to Friday. They have set days, but a smarter company would always write 45 to 60 working days. Now, 45 to 60 working days means that they are only counting Monday to Friday and they're not counting Saturday and Sunday. In a month, there are almost 8, right? There are 4 weeks. So there are 8 days extra. So in every 30 days, they're getting 8 extra days, which means 60 days are technically 60 plus 8 plus 8 working days, which is 76 days. So most creators, when they start out, they just get very pissed off, right? They don't plan their financials well, thinking that, oh, the contract said 45 to 60 days. After I said yes, no, 45, 60 days after the content goes live. And in that also, you have to check if it's just days or working days. Right. Another thing you have to check is the number of revisions that you agree for, in the deliverables mentioned. So let's check usage and rights, payment terms, timelines, all of this is sorted. They have not even mentioned, right? Revisions must be submitted by the creator in a timely manner. They have not specified the number of revisions. You have to make sure that you write how many revisions are included in this. In most cases, creators in general give 2 to 3 script revisions and 2 to 3 edit revisions, but not like completely revised reels. But yeah, you first send them a concept and then they approve that concept and then you say that we will not make changes to this. Beyond these 6 feedback cycles, you should have a clause for getting paid extra, and how much you get paid extra should also be submitted. And there are so many cases where brands and agencies would keep asking you to change things again and again because you have not mentioned these things. I have worked with brands who've made me edit my reel 13 to 14 times over a span of 20 days simply because I had not mentioned a specific revisions limit in my brand contract. Now, once you've confirmed and checked everything, of course, you can just either refuse the document or you can just send it to the brand. But yeah, I personally hope that all of these things made sense to you, because otherwise you'll just end up wasting a lot of time. Now, once you've confirmed and checked everything, you can simply use Odoo's e-sign software to sign and download the signed PDF. First, I'll take a demo agreement. On the left, I have a bunch of fields that I can add from. If I scroll to the very bottom, you can see that this is where we need to add the licensor and licensee details. Basically, a licensor is the person sending the agreement and licensee is the one receiving it. For the licensor details, we'll just drag and drop the date, signature, name, and a text field. Below that, we need to add the details required for the licensee. Now I'll send it right away. I'll add a dummy customer email ID, employee email ID, and once all the details are filled in, I'll click on sign now. The document will be sent to the registered email IDs. So let's go ahead and sign this document. Add the customer's name and employee ID and click on sign now. Now I'm only going to be able to complete the fields that I am responsible for. So I can add my signature. I can either choose from Odoo auto signature or choose to draw my own. So this is called an e-sign. Now, I'll just add the name and date, and that is how you can create an agreement. So to summarize module 1, even as a beginner, you need to protect yourself from delayed payments and misbehavior by learning how to focus on things like professional email with a decent enough logo and a custom domain. Then create invoices that have all the necessary information about your GST, your PAN, your IFSC code, and your bank account details. And most importantly, write or sign contracts only after checking them for any fishy clauses. Try to register your company as an MSME company, which is micro, small and medium enterprises. You have to go through some paperwork. You can apply online as well, because if your company has GST and if it is registered under MSME, then every brand or agency you work with will be officially liable to pay you within 45 days of sending the invoice. There are some sub clauses to this, but make sure that once you have a GST number, open a current bank account and do not take your brand income or your side income into your savings account. Keeping your company's financial books clean and sorted will help you a lot as you grow. Trust me, you are hearing this from a person who avoided all of these organizations, and it was just a mess because I was taking, money in my savings account. You need a current account to keep your books clean, and you have to make sure that once you go above a certain revenue, you need to have a proper demarcation between your savings account and your current account. You need to pay your GST on time. You need to pay your taxes on time. You need a proper CA to do all of these things. And if you try to manage all of these things on your own, I'm telling you, somewhere you will slip. Till a certain level, nothing will happen. I'm telling you, till, 1 year or 2 years down the line, you'll be like, it's working out for me. It doesn't matter. But once you start hiring people, once you start, doing better things and bigger things, you will realize the importance of having a clean current account with every expense accounted for. And it's just too important. Like, the bottom line is, you need to see yourself as an employee of your company and not just the owner. For example, I earlier used to take all of my income in my normal savings account, right? Now, after getting GST and MSME, I take all payments in a new current account. And I've made a new bank account in a separate bank altogether. And every month, I take a fixed salary from my current account into my savings account. So money from the brand comes to this bank account A, current account, and then at say 30th or 31st, I would withdraw a certain amount into my savings account, and I don't even check my current account. Because if you have direct access to your current account, then you will just spend whatever money you make. And to have this content career as a scalable thing, you need to have that discipline to make sure that you limit your expenses. You know, apna kharcha kam rakhna is the most important habit that you will ever learn. And apne paise ko sahi se manage karna, handling all of that money, you know, intelligently and with discipline, it's going to be the most important asset that you will ever have in your content creation career. So that way, my expenses and my company's expenses are always split and clearly differentiated. I know you must be finding all of this complicated, but trust me, the sooner you learn these things, the better it will be for your business. So I've already said this a million times. So if this is clear, let me now explain how you should hire and manage your teams as you grow your content business. When you start content, you do everything by yourself. But as you grow and become a full-time creator, you will need to hire and manage editors and designers. Now, even in this part, I did 3 major mistakes. Number 1, I did not know what skill sets I need to hire. Then I didn't know how to manage all of their information and their bandwidth. And then I didn't know how to effectively delegate work to my team members because I thought everybody thinks like me, everybody works like me. Biggest mistake ever. Just to share how I started, only 2.5 years ago as a part-time content creator, I scripted, edited and uploaded everything on my own, which was very chaotic and extremely painful. After 1 year, I hired my first video editor. And in the beginning, I used to pay him for each and every video. Then today, after 2.5 years, I have 2 full-time video editors on a monthly payroll for my 2 YouTube channels. I have an English YouTube channel and then I have started a new Hindi YouTube channel called The Playbook. Then I have one Instagram video editor for all of my reels because even on Instagram, I have 2 handles. One is anshmehra.in and one is The Cutting Edge Show. Now we're also starting Playbook Instagram. So now we'll have 3 Instagram channels. I have one social media manager who oversees all the uploading, the metadata, and all of the edit reviews. So when the edit comes, she's the one who would go through everything. If we are doing some hiring, she's the one who would make the Google form, shortlist all the candidates. And then in the end, I have one graphic designer who helps us with the storyboarding and the poster design of all the profiles. With all of these new channels coming in, I've also hired 2 new researchers who are helping me analyze data, understand how things work. And these are all like fresh hires. I've just hired them. But after 2 years, I think you definitely need at least a video editor and a graphic designer and a social media manager to handle all of these things. Now, there are 3 key problems all beginner content creators face when they grow. Number 1, they do not know where to hire good people and how to hire them. If they do hire, they do not have a proper HR system to manage their employees and their salaries. And in the end, once you have more than 2 people in your company, you need a project management tool to manage everyone's bandwidth because you can't micromanage and ask everyone, what are you doing? What is your progress? So there needs to be a centralized system where you can see what people are doing and how far are they in their timelines. When it comes to hiring, I always ask my friends who are in the content industry and post on LinkedIn. I make sure that I first hire people on a 2-month contract and then convert them full-time. So that 2-month period helps you and this freelancer check if you both can work together because that chemistry is very important. But handling so many people using WhatsApp groups can get very chaotic. So let me first explain you how you can manage your entire team and their information using Odoo's employee app. Awesome. So before I even show you the employee app, I actually wanted to show you one more app, which is the recruitment app, because employees will get into the picture once you have recruited people, right? Now, the recruitment app helps you when you're trying to hire people because just managing who are we hiring, who are we interviewing, at what stage is that person is a completely complicated process altogether. So here I am in my recruitment dashboard, okay? And in my company, I basically hire graphic designers, researchers, YouTube editors, and script writers, right? So this researcher and script writer is like a generic person, and then I have some YouTube specific script writers, you know, for short form and long form. It's just a different skill altogether. So these are called your job positions, and you can always create your new job position from right here. Now, once you have your job positions sorted, within every position, you'll have multiple applications. So what you can do is you have these different stages. I have already defined them, which is new, initial qualification, first interview, second interview, and then the contract stage. And you can drag these people one by one. So let's just say I have Rohan Mishra in my first interview stage. If I open his card, I can see all of his details. You can always put him from one stage to another. You can also add a log note, if you and your team have feedback and your notes. You can also go to the skills section and specifically give this person marks on each and every skill. So you can go and either add a language or a specific skill. They already have a bunch of skills sorted, but you can add your own skills as well. So when you're going through multiple people in your recruitment stage, life just becomes very, very easy. So I would recommend you, as soon as you get all of your entries from your forms, from your LinkedIn profiles, from your friends, you have to make sure that your team or you go to the recruitment app, neatly organize all of your people one by one, and then move them through stages. You can also have your calendar sorted so that you and other team members know which person is being interviewed at what point. I won't go too much into the recruitment app because most of you are a beginner creator, so you just need to know how to set your job positions and your candidates. But once you have recruited your team members, then you have the employee section, right? So this is a mock data of my entire team. So it becomes very, very easy to keep a track of who is doing what are their JDs. Other people can also get their numbers and details very, very easily. So for example, here I have Hishan Mehta, right? You can add the resume, the work information, their private information. So much information is neatly organized. And if you were to do this on your WhatsApp or on your phone, trust me, it just becomes very, very chaotic. So if I go to my employees, I can see all of my people right here. If I go to departments, I have all of my employees neatly sorted in every single department. So if I go to my designing department, I instantly know who's the manager, what are the different kinds of employees, working under every single department. So if you want to start a new department, you just click on new, you write the name. Let's just say I write UX and product, right? I can set a specific manager. So maybe I can make Tarini the manager. Is there a parent department? Not really. And I can add a specific color to it. And that's all, right? Now, if I go to my department again, I have my UX and product sorted here, and then I can select my employees and then add them to a specific department. So if I go to Meera Gupta, you can instantly see that she is currently in the writing department, but I can easily shift her to the UX and product department. So organization of your team just becomes very, very simple. When you're adding new people to your company, when you're, putting their picture, it's just a very, very neat and a very organized way to start your entire structure from scratch, right? I would recommend when you're starting out, basic things like their email, phone number, and picture is just very, very important. Their government ID, their resume, all of these things will help you get feedback, understand who are we hiring, if you want to fire someone, if you want to quickly access someone, if you really, really want team member 1 to coordinate with team member 2, they will not message you. Otherwise, they will always annoy you. Oh, can you send me this person's email? Can you send me this person's phone number? It's just a mess in general. Now, once your employees are added, the next task is all about managing their bandwidth well. When I use the word bandwidth, I basically mean that when you're hiring someone, I work remotely. We are not in an office. So they are in their house, I am in my house, and I can't even see them. So it's very, very important that I'm in touch with how they're using their time, right? Because I'm not paying them per video basis. So I have to make sure that everybody is using their energy and time well. So in the corporate world, time is called bandwidth. Just a fancy way to say all of these things. Now, let me quickly reveal 5 important management lessons I've learned in the last 2 years that can help you avoid a lot of early mistakes. Number 1, anytime you give important feedback to an employee, always record it on a tool like Loom. I have spoken about Loom multiple times, so I will not repeat it. The point is, it's just a video recording software and it uploads everything on the cloud. At this point, I have a library of more than 50 to 60 editing feedback Loom recordings from the past 2 years in a Notion database. Anytime a new freelancer editor joins in, that editor first watches this library of videos and then proceeds to work with us. If you give undocumented feedback, you will have to spend time again and again teaching a new person what to do. Number 2, anytime you give a task to someone on your team, you need to have a project management tool because you'll have so many people, you will not be able to keep a track of them. them. So I will show you a demo right now on how you can use Odoo's project app to do this. But while you give your task, there are 3 important questions you need to ask every person you delegate your work to. Number 1, are they fully available to do their work today, or are they busy with something else? So that will give you information about their bandwidth. Number 2, make them write down all the important details in their task item on Odoo. So I will show you how this works. But make sure that all of those things are in a proper prescription. Set proper deadlines to every task and remind them to take ownership of those deadlines. Now, this entire concept of ownership will be discussed eventually in the video, but let me first show you how do you manage all of your tasks when you're handling so many people. Now, once we have shown you the employee app, let me explain you how do you even manage these people. So we are back into the dashboard, and now I will go to my final app, which is the project app, right? So now let's see how we can schedule activities using the Odoo project app. You can click on any of the projects, and all the operations are well bifurcated into different sections in the Kanban view. Moreover, there's this interesting feature called the Gantt view. This is valuable because when you're simultaneously working on different projects, the timelines and resource allocation gets really messy. So in the Gantt view, you can just visually plan your tasks. It'll make your resource allocation and progress tracking super easy. And you can just drag and drop your tasks and see where your team is making progress. This comes handy in figuring out the bottlenecks in the entire process. And I can just add further details to it, and my team members will have access to all the changes that I'm making here. So for instance, I want to postpone a certain task. I can just drag it from 26th October to 28th October, and my team will instantly know what we are prioritizing. You can also schedule your meetings from here. Go to activities, and I'll just select a meeting as the activity type and write the agenda of the meeting. Then I can directly check my calendar and schedule my meetings whenever it's most feasible, and the meeting notification will be sent to the concerned members. Similarly, by going to the activity type, you can directly send emails and customize your message from here. This will save you a lot of time and make your SOPs very seamless. Now, within the project app, the first thing that you need to declare is that you need to understand what all are the different big chunks of projects or departments that your company can have. So in my case, I have Ansh Mehra's Instagram, I have my Hindi channel Playbook episodes, I have the English Ansh Mehra YouTube channel, and then we have some giveaways, right? So let's just say I go to Ansh Mehra's Instagram, right? Instantly, my manager Aditi can now see that what are the routine checks, the new tasks, the in-progress tasks, the block tasks, everything. And you can add these stages from right here. So I can literally say send to brand for approval, and then I can just keep it right here. So once our videos are sorted, we can just send it to the brand. And once I select a specific task, you can see that there is a specific person assigned to that task, right? If there's a specific customer, you can add that customer as well, and you can change the state from right here itself. So once I go back, you can see that all of your tasks are neatly combined. So what happens is that when you have a team of say 4 people or 5 people, you can quickly take an overview of what is happening, what are the blocked areas, who is working on what. If I click on this one specific task, I know that Ansh Chawla is working on the risk and reward thing, and he's currently in the scripting stage. So I can just call up Ansh and say that, why are you still there in the scripting stage? Another cool feature that I like is the subtask thing. So if I'm having a call with Ansh and we're discussing how do you need to script this video, I can go to my subtask category and say, go through YouTube, and we usually write these things on the call itself, right? Write your notes, send draft to Ansh, and yeah, that's all. So when Ansh is doing all of these tasks, maybe one of these tasks is for somebody else, maybe it's for Ishan, right? So then we have a clear visibility of what they need to do for every single thing, right? So I think if you combine all of these things one by one, you know, if you have your employee chart sorted, if you put specific deadlines, as I said, anytime you're giving a task to someone, you know, you can also add a start date as well. So I can just take this thing and let's just say we start at 10 a.m, right? And we apply it. So you can also allocate specific tasks to all of these people. And then when I am checking in, I don't have to call lunch. I just have to go and check the task section. So just to summarize, as a creator, something like Odoo and all of these apps combined together can really improve the efficiency with which you lead your team. So if this is clear, let's go back to some other interesting mistakes that I made when I started out. I have felt so much frustration working with people who do not understand the importance of having ownership and a sense of agency. Naval Ravikant, one of the most popular investors in the world, talks about having agency very regularly in all of his interviews. But Ansh, what do you mean by agency? Well, agency isn't just a name for a company. It's actually a personality trait. Having agency as a personality trait means that you are reliable enough to do your job on your own end to end. If you get stuck at any point, you should be smart enough to either fix it or instantly let other important stakeholders know. But most people do not have this valuable trait. If they get stuck, they simply stay stuck and then they pause their work without making progress. With Odoo's project app, you can easily keep track of what everyone else is doing and have constant feedback loops to make sure that there are no annoying bottlenecks in the process. So it gives you a lot of visibility, and it also gives visibility to the entire team. So to summarize module 2, hire freelancers via friends reference or social media on a 2-month contract and then confirm them on a full-time job. If you want a proper example, you can literally go to my LinkedIn profile and see what kind of Google Forms I create and what all entries I ask. Make sure all important details are updated on an HR tool like Odoo, so your databases are clean and easy to navigate. Anytime you give someone a task or feedback, document them on a project management system so that everyone has very clear visibility of their daily progress. Whenever you delegate, ask your team members 3 important questions. Are they fully available to do this task? Do they know every important checklist item they need to complete this task? And do they have a strict timeline under which they need to complete it? And finally, remind your team to be proactive instead of just being reactive. But Ansh, what does proactive and reactive even mean? Proactive people are always thinking of ways to improve and do their job better without any boss or manager annoying them. They are always on the lookout for doing better work on their own without any spoon feeding. Reactive people wait for orders. They sit and simply react to what others throw at them. You need to exhibit agency in your character as well as in your team's character. Because if you don't have agency, if you are not proactive, the team will follow along. So as the main content founder, your energy will decide the culture of your entire company. So with this, we finally complete our episode 2 from our personal branding and content creation course. You can try any one app from Odoo for free by going to the link in description. You can get all their apps including invoicing, HR systems, website creation, project management, and a lot more at a really cost-effective price. You will find the link in description. Now, to win the certification, you need to document your learnings from this episode and post them on LinkedIn just like this. Tag me and Odoo and then email me your LinkedIn post's URL on talent@anshmehra.com. The deadline for this task is 10 days after the release of this video. Comment below right now if this video helped you get started. You can also put a date in the comment section so that you can keep yourself accountable, and I will also know that this student started on this date. Let me know what we should cover in the remaining videos of this content creation course. We've just launched a Hindi YouTube channel called The Playbook, where you can learn how to improve your thinking and personality with lessons and case studies based on top entrepreneurs and titans. Check out this clip. तो चलिए पहला चैप्टर शुरू करते हैं. So yes, with that being said, I hope that you're taking care of your mind and body. This is your dost Ansh Mehra signing out. If you enjoyed this video, then do check out this video of the same series. I am sure that it will help you even more.